Commanders fans, this one hurts. We're talking about a gut punch injury, a sloppy preseason debut, and Dan Quinn absolutely lighting a fire under this team. Before we get into it, hit that like button if you bleed burgundy and gold, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any updates during this roller coaster of a preseason. Friday night in Foxborough was supposed to be a tune-up. Instead, it turned into a major setback. The Washington Commanders walked away from their preseason opener against the New England Patriots, not just with a 48-18 loss, but with confirmation that offensive tackle Lucas Nyang is done for the 2025 season. Dan Quinn himself broke the news after the game, confirming Niang tore his ACL. That's not just bad luck. It's a major blow to an offensive line already walking a thin rope. Remember, Sam Cosmi is still rehabbing his own ACL injury, and depth at tackle was already a sensitive subject inside the building. Nyang wasn't a household name, but inside camp, he was making a case. Signed just 2 weeks ago, the 2020 third round. Pick out of TCU, who spent his first 4 seasons with the Kansas City Chiefs, was in the mix for that 9th offensive lineman spot. He'd already brought Super Bowl experience and a level of maturity to the competition. Now, that chance is gone in a blink. The news hit social media instantly. One fan wrote, "I had high hopes for Niang coming out of TCU. He just never got, right from his college injury." Another tried to look on the bright side, pointing out that with Laramie Tunsil, Brandon Coleman, Connerly, and Andrew Wiley, tackle is one of the few spots where we actually have decent depth. Still, the overwhelming tone. Sympathy. "Prayers up for Lucas," summed up the mood from most fans. Commanders Nation has seen this story before. Talented player, promising camp, season gone before it even starts. But if losing Niang was the gut punch, the rest of Friday night was the body blow. Dan Quinn did not sugarcoat it. "We missed it tonight by a lot. All 3 phases. I missed it, man. 15 penalties. That's not a typo. 15. And for Quinn, it wasn't the calls themselves that made him bristle. It was the type of mistakes, pre-snap penalties, false starts, encroachments. The kind of errors he calls a lack of focus. And then came the line that had reporters sitting up in their chairs. "When it's sloppy and not to the standards, that burns my ass." That's vintage Quinn, direct, emotional, and willing to take the blame himself. He didn't point fingers at one player or one unit. Instead, he made it clear that if the standard wasn't met, it starts with him. Let's be real. Preseason scores don't count, but performances do. The Commanders didn't just lose, they looked like a team still, figuring out who they want to be. This was a far cry from the sharp, aggressive, and disciplined squad we saw last season. Quinn's 2024 team built its identity on clean football, smart decisions, high effort, low mistakes, and yet, on Friday, that identity was nowhere to be found. Losing a game in August is one thing. Losing your standard? That's the part that scares coaches. Now, with Niang out and Cosmi's return still uncertain, all eyes turn to Adam Peters' next move. Do the Commanders stand pat, trusting the depth they have at tackle, or does Peters go shopping for another veteran swing tackle before week 1? Remember, protecting Jaden Daniels is the #1 priority for this team. Peters didn't trade for Laramie Tunsil just to watch the rest of the line crumble. Expect some late camp workouts and maybe even a surprise signing if the depth chart looks shaky. Quinns' message to the locker room after the game was simple. This isn't who we are. And the real test starts now. Not in September, not in week 1, but right here in the dog days of camp. "I can live with any result when you put it all in and do it right," Quinn said. "But when it's sloppy, that burns my ass." That's the standard this team has lived by since Quinn arrived, and if they want to be more than a one-year wonder, they need to get back to it fast. Injuries happen every year. Sloppy games happen too. But the elite teams, the ones that are still playing in January, use these moments as turning points. The Commanders have the talent, they've got the leadership, and now they've got an early wake-up call before the season even starts. The question is, how will they answer it? Will they tighten up, fix the focus, and rally around their quarterback? Or will the cracks we saw in Foxborough grow wider? One thing's for sure, Dan Quinn won't let this fester. The Commanders didn't waste any time when Nate Herbig announced his retirement early in camp. Adam Peters moved quickly, signing veteran offensive tackle Niang on July 30th, a move meant to shore up depth and give Washington another experienced body in the trenches. But just 2 weeks later, Niang's season, and likely his short stint as a Commander, is over. In the preseason opener against the Patriots, head coach Dan Quinn confirmed Niang tore his ACL. That means he's not only missing all of 2025, but will likely be waived with an injury settlement in the coming days. Niang came in thinking this was his chance to revive his career. A 2020 third-round pick out of TCU, with 2 Super Bowl rings from his time in Kansas City, he had the resume and the hunger. And with some shaky performances from other depth linemen early in camp, he was positioning himself as a legitimate dark horse for the 53-man roster. Now that opportunity is gone before it could even take shape. For Niang, this is the cruelest part of the NFL, the fact that one wrong step can derail years of work. But for the Commanders, it's another unexpected shakeup on an offensive line that's already had moving parts. Sam Cosmi is still rehabbing his own ACL tear. Herbig retired. And now Niang's gone before even making it to the second preseason game. The silver lining? This wasn't a starting caliber loss. Washington still has Laramie Tunsil locking down the left side, Brandon Coleman developing, Connerly and Andrew Wiley providing flexibility. But the depth chart just got thinner, and that's the kind of thing that becomes a big deal by November if injuries pile up. If there's one thing Adam Peters is known for, it's having contingency plans. Niang himself was already Plan B after Herbig stepped away from the game. Now Peters is forced to go to Plan C. Does that mean another veteran free agent signing, a swing tackle trade before roster cuts, or maybe elevating a camp body to see if they can hold their own? Whatever the move, Peters won't wait long. The Commanders aren't about to let their franchise quarterback, Jaden Daniels, go into the season with questionable protection on the edges. The loss of Niang was bad enough. But the 48-18 thumping at the hands of New England was another reality check. Dan Quinn didn't mince words after the game, calling the performance sloppy and hammering the team for 15 penalties, many of them pre-snap. When it's sloppy and not to the standards, that burns my ass, Quinn told reporters. That's the culture shock moment this locker room needed. Because if they thought they could cruise into 2025 on last year's success, Foxborough was a wake-up call. One game into preseason, Washington's depth is already being tested. And that's not just about bodies, it's about readiness. The second and third units didn't look sharp against New England. Assignments were missed, technique slipped, and the penalties piled up. Niang's absence only magnifies the need for those players to step up. If they can't, Peters will find someone who can. The stakes are too high, especially when you've invested so much in a young quarterback who needs every ounce of protection possible. In all likelihood, Niang's time with the Commanders is over before it even began. From signing in late July to tearing his ACL in early August, his Washington chapter will be remembered as short, unlucky, and brutally unfair. Still, every player who's been in this league knows that careers can change direction in an instant. If Niang attacks his rehab the way he fought for a roster spot, he'll get another shot somewhere down the line. For now, all we can do is wish him a full recovery. The NFL doesn't stop for anyone. By the time the team hits the practice field, again, Peters and Quinn will already be reworking the plan. Someone will take Niang's spot, someone else will get more reps, and this team will keep pushing toward week 1. But let's be clear. Depth wins in December and January. What happens with the bottom half of this roster in the next 3 weeks could be the difference between a playoff push and an early offseason. Commanders, fans, I want to hear from you. What's your bigger concern right now? The loss of Niang for the season, or the sheer lack of discipline we saw against the Patriots? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And hey, If you believe this team can clean it up before week 1, smash that like button, share this video with another fan, and subscribe so you never miss a moment from camp to kickoff. This is Commanders HQ, where the season never sleeps.